The Delhi High Court pronounced its much awaited verdict on the criminalization of marital rape on May 11. The bench was not able to make up its mind on whether a sexual act without consent should be considered a crime or not and delivered a split verdict. The interpretation of sexual consent in legal cases affects judgments about the guilt or innocence of the accused and the repercussions of the defendant. The verdict raised an important question: what exactly is consent and how do we define it? There has been little exploration of sexual consent, a key component that defines marital rape. Conversations around consent are not common in the Indian society. We conducted a survey to find out what the masses think about consent. The objective of this study was to analyze how people in the reproductive age group see consent. The study aimed to collect views from people across the country and understand how they view consent. Before getting into the results of the survey, it is important to note how consent is defined universally. The Oxford Dictionary defines consent as a voluntary agreement to what another proposes or desires, compliance, concurrence, and permission. There are varying beliefs about what behaviors do and do not communicate consent. The results of this survey were taken out of a survey pool of 133 participants ranging from age 15 to 45. 90.2% of the participants stated that consent during sexual activity with a partner is of utmost importance to them, while 3% of the participants hold the view that consent has no place in a relationship. 5.3% were unsure of the importance of consent. The same percentage of participants, that is 90.2%, also believe that it is okay to say no, a phrase that is not often brought in the Indian sex education scene. Expression of consent is just as important as the knowledge of the same. 67.7% of the participating pool always expresses their consent to their partner, 11.3% does it most of the time, 15.8% does it sometimes, and 5.3% never expresses their consent. The results of the survey showed that most of the adult population in the country is aware of the importance of consent in any relationship. India introduced the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act in 2012, which provided for the first time in the country's legislation a comprehensive and graded definition of sexual assault against children. While the judiciary has provided much-needed protection for children, the consent and well-being of married women is still up for debate. It has been a long century since feminist voices were first raised. Married women are still seen as their husband's property. Yet it is hard for contemporary society to accept that the commitment to marriage between the two persons presupposes a kind of mutual respect that cannot include forcing oneself on their married partner.